My regular viewers already understand this, but just in case you're new, I want to make it clear that this is not a how-to video or advice from a professional or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I'd recommend you don't copy anything you see me do, because I'm just an average guy trying to get a tree cut up. Hey, it's Brock here from Rock Hill Farms, and today I'm going to try to deal with this dangerous tree. So a couple weeks ago I cut this down, and it was a leaning tree that had a lot of dead wood on this side and some dead branches, and it's 33-inch diameter at the spot I cut it, and there's a lot of hazards in cutting a tree down like that. There's also a lot of videos telling you how to safely cut a tree down, and I showed some techniques that I thought made this a little bit safer, and we had a nice clean fall. What I find interesting, especially on YouTube, is there aren't as many videos about what to do with this once it's on the ground. Because I would say cutting this down was maybe 20% of the danger here. Because when you cut the tree down, there's one situation to evaluate and make a decision on the safest way to approach it. And you can take your time, size everything up, have a plan, cut it, and go. Once it's on the ground, you've got to make 200 cuts. And each of those is its own situation that you have to figure out how you want to deal with. So, my focus right now is getting this trunk on the ground. Normally, when I cut a tree down, I will go through and cut all the smaller limbs off and drag those out of the way so they're not a trip hazard. Then I just work my way towards the trunk until I'm mainly left with just the big trunk and its clean work area. Well, I don't think I can do that today because this is hanging up in the air. This is a 32-inch diameter, and every foot, this is an oak tree, and I got a log weight calculator. Every foot of this log weighs about 350 pounds. And we have 12 feet of it suspended up in the air. So we've got 4,000 pounds just hanging in the air. And if you think about it, the weight of the rest of the tree and the way the end is wedged in the ground is holding this up in the air. But if you think about the main point where most of our weight is setting, right down here, you think of that as a fulcrum. I don't know how much weight I would have to remove from that side before the butt of this log falls on its own. And at some point, this weight, this 4,000 pounds, has to come crashing down. And I don't want it to happen unexpectedly. So I'm going to bring this weight down first. Now there's a lot of different ways I can do that, and I am in no way an expert on this, but I have a job I have to do, and I show every job. So don't think of this like a how-to. I'm just going to do my best with it, and you guys can tell me what I did wrong. So for options, how to deal with this, my first thought was, can I grab it with the skid loader and support the weight? And I think it's too heavy for that. If this weighed 1,500 pounds, I would put the grapple around it and have it clamped, and then when it cut, it wouldn't go anywhere. It's too heavy. And I could still do that with smaller sections, but a lot of people don't have a skid loader at their disposal. So I'm going to put this on the ground without using that. So then it's a question, do I cut the whole thing at once, or do I do it in chunks? And you're not dealing with near as much weight if you do it in smaller chunks, but you have more cuts for something to go wrong. So I think I'm going to cut this at 4 feet and then at 8 feet. And every 4 foot will give me 3 16-inch rounds that I can cut into firewood. So I'm going to go down 4 feet and make the first cut, and that'll be 1,400 pounds that's going to drop and roll. So I'm going to go get the chainsaw and we'll get started. Okay, I've got everything out here now. And the last thing I want to say before I start cutting is the top of the log is under tension, that the weight's pulling away. And so the top, cutting in the top, is never going to pinch your bar, but the bottom is under compression. So cutting the bottom, that's when you're going to pinch your bar. So you want to cut your compression side first. I'll cut at least a third of the way through from the bottom and then finish the rest of it from the top. Actually made the first part of that cut with the camera off. I'm making my top cut about an inch or a half an inch to the right of my bottom cut. There's still a lot of stored energy in this tree, but the heaviest part is down. I want to do a little bit more cutting here, but there's two more hazards I want to mention. Number one, it's like 96 degrees today, and I'm an idiot out here in the heat, and I've got my chaps and stuff on. So I'm gonna go cool off and get some water and not try to do this entire tree in a day. I'm gonna make a few more cuts and then go do the rest of my to-do list. But the second hazard is using a chainsaw bigger than you need. So that 36-inch bar was perfect for a 32, 33-inch diameter tree, but for these little branches, it's silly and dangerous. So I'm gonna go get a smaller saw, but still bigger than that electric. Get something like a 270, come down here and do a little more cutting. So here's an example of the danger there, that I felt like I knew which way the weight was going to take it. It was going to kind of pull it right over there. And there's a lot of branches. It's going to land on those and probably come down soft. And that's what happened. But then it split right here. So now I have to decide what I want to do with it. And then I have my big problem here, which is that kickstand right there is my #1 problem, because I can't cut this again. I could cut it just past the kickstand, because right now if I cut it past the kickstand, it's going to go that way on top of me. I'm going to get that top piece off and then make a decision. So in this video I've been talking about danger, and every time you start a saw it's dangerous. And every bit of the rest of this is dangerous. But I feel really good having that heavy portion on the ground. Now I can start just chipping off the little stuff, make my cuts, drag it out with the grapple, and work my way to the center and just have this one big piece left. Anyway, I appreciate you taking time to watch this video. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.